Hello everyone, I'm Lisa and I've just blown in. And today we are back with more Seduce Me 2, The Demon Wars. Last time we left off, we might be in a little bit of trouble, which is sad because before that, I think we helped Diana through something. As well as, at least in this verse, learning that Dee's kind of responsible for why Grandpa died. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? I didn't know how long I was out for. I had no way to tell how long I had been unconscious. All I knew was that James and I were in trouble. Gasp! No! What was going to happen now that we were prisoners of angels? Crummy tabletop experiences? Nervousness sank into my mind as I could do nothing but float in an empty darkness. Well, I thought the angels were all about the white lights, so we might be okay? Created by the angels who had confined me in a cocoon of chains. Wait, can I just get out my circlet and override the chains, take them over? Slowly, my nerves came back to life and I found myself awakening from the dark. What I didn't expect was to no longer feel chains around me, but soft, familiar silk beneath me. What the? I rubbed my eyes and slowly opened them to see a familiar gray ceiling. It couldn't be. No. No what? Sitting up, my heart caught in my chest. I was back in my room. I was in the human world. How is this possible? Good question. Where was James? I jumped out of my bed and rushed for the door, pulling it open. James? I called out, but heard no response. I rushed to the lobby and looked around to see it still intact. Why would it be trashed? The air felt familiar and real, and I wasn't imagining things. I couldn't have been. Well, supernatural powers are at play here. At the same time, I knew that the curse hadn't been lifted. I couldn't have returned to the human world unless I died. Well, maybe I'm a ghost. Ooh, spooky. Was I dead? Could be. I began to panic. What was going on? Huh? What now? My heart stopped at the sound of Diana's voice, more so from the moan that somehow reached my ears. I turned where the sound came from, realizing the direction. The library. I rushed over and quickly pushed the door open, running inside. What I saw made my heart tear instantly in two. Uh-oh. I think we're in a flashback moment. On the ground were Diana and James, both in demon form, embracing each other. Ha ha ha. Okay. James had his face buried in Diana's neck. Well, there are worse places his face could be buried for me to walk in on. As she clawed at his back, arcing against him and moaning into the air. This couldn't be real. This wasn't real. Exactly. We were being messed with. Before I could scream, time seemed to freeze, causing the room and world around me to become still. I looked around, realizing that I could still move, and turned away from the sight. No, look at it, figure out what's wrong here, and fix it.
Do you know why I am showing this to you, human?
Because you're a disturbing little fucker? Fuck you, no. You know what, voice? Fuck you. If this was the angel's attempt to prove something, it was sick and twisted. There was no reason to show me this to me, especially when the one I was marrying was engaging with the woman who had wanted to take him away.
This was the time when Maestro was destined to return to the Abyssal Plains. Isaiah would have convinced him to go home, and they would have consummated their engagement before returning to take their birthrights.
Yeah, but, I'm in the picture? And I didn't agree to this shit. No. Exactly. No, indeed.
It is the truth. The only event that stopped it from happening was your voyeurism and intrusion.
Exactly. As it should be. I will not let him go.
How selfish.
Uh-huh.
Humans are all selfish creatures.
True.
But that is to be expected when safety is handed to them in a silver platter.
Hey, dude, I did not ask for it on a silver platter, it just came that way. The angel was toying with me, and I despised hearing every word it spoke. I know this feeling, a little too well. I turned back around and focused my attention on James, knowing that this was fake. Exactly, hashtag fake news. And remembering the real scenario.
Do you understand the full consequences of your actions?
Yeah, I'm getting my happily ever after the last game promised me. I regret nothing. Upon my final word, the room went black and began to reek of blood. Ew, that's not a good sign. I started to gag and covered my mouth and nose at the horrid smell. What was happening now? Where did the angel take me? What now? I followed Diana's voice to see a crack of light slowly open, revealing Diana. Well, you'd hope so if you were following her voice. It'd be weird to find, Sam or something. Her face was painted with worry and concern, but upon opening the door, her expression shifted from concern to absolutely broken shock. Really? What broke her so badly? And also, it'd be nice to see it. From the light of the door, I was able to finally see the room I was in. Blood covered every surface. Ugh. I'm actually kind of a little happy I don't see it. Gore decorated every inch. Wait, did we enter the Blight? And I was standing a couple of feet from the center, where 3 objects laid. Barely coated in blood, at the center were 2 broken adult-sized crowns, and a smaller crown, large enough to barely fit a newborn's head. Oh, okay, this is Diana's past. Diana's eyes darted throughout the room, both in disbelief and in utmost horror. She barely forced herself to step into the room, dropping to her knees in front of the items and bringing them to her chest. And again, now I take that back, I do wish we could see it, cause, yeah. This is kind of an iconic moment for her.
No. No!
Poor Dee. My heart broke at the sight of Diana. Tears were streaming down her face as she clutched the crowns against her chest. Aww. Again, wish they'd show, not tell.
Your selfishness cost a kingdom their beloved rulers, and a daughter her only family.
Well, first off, she has the rebellion around her, so she has extended family. Secondly, no, I didn't. The boys chose their own path, as was their right, as is my right to choose loving one of them. Diana had no say in that. If you're going to blame anyone, blame the Demon Lord, the one that actually slaughtered her family. This feels like a non-issue to me, and you're really rewriting history in order to tell this story. Darn it, ... Come on, Garn, I just gave you the perfect answer here. I couldn't say anything. I wanted to fight and shout back that I still didn't regret taking James away. Again, she didn't take him away, she offered him a place to stay. But seeing Diana completely broken silenced any will to speak. Okay, yeah, again, I would really wish they would have given us visual here. I kind of understand the character's silence. At the same time, it's like, no, speak up, girl. Remember when you used to be protagonist Coon in the first game and you were awesome?
I see that you're beginning to understand.
Nope, don't understand at all. My rage is at my father-in-law, who deserves it, quite frankly. Stay silent. What's done is done. You know what? What's done is done. You replaying the greatest hits of the worst moments of Diana's life ain't gonna change things for me. I remembered Diana's voice echoing in my memory. She had moved on and was building the rebellion to eradicate the Demon Lord. As terrible as this was the inciting incident that gave Diana the motivation to destroy the Demon Lord. Exactly. She is going to be stronger for this. I looked away from Diana, no longer wanting to see her grieve, and glared into the ceiling. I mean, ugh, it's just that icky stucco pattern thing, look. The past cannot be changed.
The past is a reminder of our mistakes.
To a point, yes. The past is a memory to look back upon, not to bury yourself within. Exactly. Move forward. Ain't no one gonna break my stride. Ain't no one gonna slow me down. Oh, fire! Yay! Before my eyes, the room vanished once again, and I found myself surrounded by flames. What the?
Burn everything to the ground!
Well, let's start with you, father-in-law dearest. I looked around, trying to find the source of the direction of the voice. This was just an illusion, but the heat of the flames seemed too real to ignore or shake off.
This was the last thing many lives are forced to see before dying at the hands of the madman Demon Lord.
And again, not my problem. If this was such a horrid event and you could see it, maybe you should have been the one to try stopping it. Stop it! I gripped my head, shutting my eyes tightly. I didn't want to see anymore. I didn't want to be here any longer. Well, I didn't want to be here in the first place, let's be honest. If this was the angel's torture, this was truly unbearable. I think we've been through worse.
Do you not see the price of your selfishness?
I don't.
You are the sole reason why millions of lives have been lost.
I'm really not.
You are the sole reason why an entire world is burning.
Again, didn't start this fire. It's been always burning since the world's been turning. I mean, wait, no, that's not it. I mean, father-in-law, you know, how about we focused our ire at the right person, the one causing the trauma? Just saying.
Your love causes death.
I'm okay with that.
Your love will do nothing but bring you pain and suffering for all of eternity.
Bring it on.
Every minute you hold on to this false hope is another child dying,
Meh.
another kingdom falling.
Not my problem.
Not arranged.
You know what? We go back to the human world. So not my problem.
Give him up.
I think we all know the answer here. All at once, my head became filled with cries and screams of people I didn't know of. Pain from men, women, and children echoed in my mind as I gripped at my head, wanting it to stop. The heat around me was unbearable. I could barely stand it. Girl, it's on your head. Don't let them beat you. Focus. I love him. I'm sorry. You know what? I love him. I'm not backing down. This is the hill I will die on. No, this wasn't happening. I needed to get out of here. I shouted to the skies, knowing the angel would hear me. However, I rushed forward through the flames surrounding me, hoping to break free somehow. What I managed to do was break through some sort of glass wall, destroying the world around me. Yay, I did a thing!
Love!
James! I fell to the floor, surrounded by shattered glass. Shaking my head, I quickly looked up, recognizing the sight before me from my nightmare. James was bolted to a wall with a burnt cross over his chest. He stared wide-eyed at me, uncaring of the bubbling heat dancing over the new scar, as cloaked figures turned their heads towards me. I didn't have to look at them to know that they were angels. From what I knew, they had holy magic that could disable demon magic, so fighting for any form of magic I knew was not a good idea. Yeah, but I know Taekwondo! Let's go! Woo! Punch. However, I was a human. I had a pure physical form. Well, question the purity there. I'm just saying, I don't think my character can wear a purity ring anymore. I quickly jumped back up and squared off, ready to take on my husband's captors. In an act of supreme rage, James's body began to glow in intense gold color, the light flickering around his body like a raging flame.
Enough!
You tell him, sweetie. Wow, that is quite the look. Within a matter of seconds, the light suddenly engulfed the room, blinding everyone in it. I covered my eyes with my arms, trying to block the light to no avail. As it finally faded, I looked up to see James in his demon form, with eyes full of glossed and gold. It's quite the look.
This ends now!
Agreed. Go get him, sweetie. The cloaked figures quickly conjured chains in their hands, but not fast enough to avoid James forming a familiar-looking gold pistol. Aw, I remember that from the first game. In his hand and shooting down his attackers. What shocked me was how they fell. T-pose? Instead of them falling to the ground, they fell with a loud sound effect. As the bullet ripped through the cloaks, the fabric burnt away and the ash vanished into the air, as if blown away by the wind. Gee, why does that sound familiar?
Filthy demon! Your acts shall not go unpunished!
You lose. Give up. Go home.
Send every angel in heaven at me! I will not let you touch her again!
Exactly. And I'm not gonna let you touch him again either, so... double trouble here. Taking the chance, I rushed over to James and wrapped my arms around him at last. My body felt at ease, while holding him as he wrapped his free arm around my waist and held me close. I could feel power radiating off of his skin, tickling my nerves. Hello? You're new? As a large gold pentagram appeared at our feet, a third cloaked being stepped up from the far end of the room, stepping over the glass I had broken through and fallen on. James tightened his grip around me and aimed at the figure. Can I get my circlet thing out and start fighting? I would like to participate.
You cannot escape your destiny.
Sure I can. I'm very good at running. Well, not IRL, but in this game I'm going to assume I am. As it finished, James fired a shot at the angel. The bullet ripped into the cloak, but the figure did not die like his companions. James didn't seem to care.
That was your one warning.
Yeah, dude. Back off.
We do not fear you.
You should.
Come after her again, and I will teach you the meaning of fear.
Exactly. My money's on my boyfriend. With an angry snarl that reverberated through the room, the cloaked figure bent forward towards us, showing its veiny hands. Ew. From its back sprouted two large and proud white wings, riddled with hundreds of gorgeously placed feathers. That's a big word you don't hear every day. However, before the angel could lunge for us, we sank into the ground at last, escaping into darkness. Yay, void! James gripped me tightly as I held on to him, guiding me through the void we were in. Into the darkness we both sank, I shut my eyes, scared of where we were going, but knowing that everything was all right now that James was with me. I was safe in his arms. I mean, am I? We're not out of the woods yet. When we finally came out of the dark, we were standing in the middle of the war room, where everyone seemed to have gathered. Hi. Sorry about intruding.
Whoa!
Sup, everybody?
Hey, what the hell?
Agreed, Twyla.
Oh my god, you're alright.
Yeah, why wouldn't we be, Carrie? Wait, have you had to go through something similar with Sam? I'm morbidly curious. James and I looked around, seeing the shocked and surprised faces of the rebel leaders, the Incubi brothers, and their wives, who I really wish we could have seen more of, you know? However, looking to Diana, her face instantly melted from surprise to anger. James released me as Diana suddenly marched at him, staring at her with a blank expression. The expression stayed as Diana slammed her palm across his cheek. The sound reverberated through the room.
Hey!
Dee, what the fuck?
Do you both realize how long you have been missing?
No?
2 days.
Really? Huh. Interesting.
Do you realize how many assets we have spent in preparing to find you both?
A lot? Question mark? Diana?
Do not apologize! I don't want to hear it!
Good, because I wasn't going to apologize. We were fucking kidnapped. Diana turned and walked back to her spot, crossing her arms and curling her shoulders over herself.
If you two had died, this war would have been for nothing.
No, the people would still have been free. I frowned, understanding what she meant. I don't. Because of us, the war happened, so we had to take responsibility. That's a bit of a stretch. However, now was not the time to get angry. Diana, we're back now. That's all that matters. Once again, the silence took control of the air, before Diana took in a deep breath and let out a sigh. Relaxing at last. Good, take a few more deep breaths. Hold them, then let them out. The very last thing I wanted was for Diana to explode about this. Exactly. She's kinda crazy powerful.
Were they angels?
Uh-huh. Notice this scar on my boyfriend's chest. Yes.
Did you kill them to escape?
I believe so? Question mark?
2 of them.
Okay, we did better than I thought. Diana turned her head and looked at James in slight surprise. What? My guy's awesome. You're not the only powerhouse in the room.
You realize that killing angels of heaven will put a bounty on your head, correct?
I mean, really? I think they have bigger problems than us. I silently gulped, remembering the angel swearing to punish James for what he had did. James didn't seem to be fazed as he wrapped an arm around me.
Let them come. I will not let them hurt her again.
How badly are we screwed, Dee? I'm curious. My cheeks warmed a bit as I looked up at James. Seeing him smile lovingly at me, I smiled back, seeing the deep and pure emotions he felt for me within his eyes. He would protect me with all of his might, and I would be with him for as long as I could. Dee, shush, this is a beautiful moment. With a sigh, Diana rubbed her temple and turned around, glaring at me and James. Her look could kill. Yeah, it really could. But I knew that beneath her anger, she was relieved to see us. Aw, you care, you softy, you. Poke, poke, poke. In a strange way, I could see the amusement behind her hard glare.
Well, now that everyone is accounted for, we are set.
Woo!
We are ready to march on to the Demon Lord's castle and end this once and for all. Are you two prepared?
Fuck yeah, let's go. The realization of the date hit me. We had been missing for 2 days, and I have not been training. And then we were an evening away from being out in the final battle. Fear quaked my core for a moment, but my embrace with James shook it away.
We leave in the morning?
Yep.
That's the plan. Get some rest, you two.
Yes, ma'am.
You both need it.
Exactly. Without letting anyone interfere or interrupt her, Diana turned and left the room. I smiled a bit, knowing that deep in her heart, she cared about us. Aw, she cares. The other rebels left as well, most likely going to prepare themselves. Yeah, they all have lives.
Dude, what's on your chest?
Something bad. Sam pointed at the cross on James's chest, making everyone look at it. I bit my lip, but James waved his hand dismissively.
A battle scar, nothing more.
I still want this checked. Sarah, get in here.
A scar that still needs to be examined.
Thank you, Eric. Voice of reason here, folks. Eric walked over along with Damien, and both demons began to investigate it. Do either of you have medic skills?
Alright. Love, you can go back to the room if you want. I'll be there shortly.
I want to stay with you. I nodded, feeling sudden exhaustion hit me hard. No, I would be at his side. Bad game for not giving me choice here. I yawned and waved to the others before I walked out of the room, making my way towards our bed. As I left, I searched for Diana. Time had passed, and I knew that now was the moment to get my deserved answers. Whoa, priorities, girl. Maybe it's really not. Maybe she has much bigger things to worry about. At least I wasn't being followed, so I began to scour the castle, trying to find where Diana had gone off to. Probably her room? Hi! Hey, buddy. Sup? At the sound of Sero clearing his throat, I quickly turned around and saw Sero look to me, as if he were waiting for me to turn around and face him. As I did, he nodded his head and gestured to follow him. I did, following him into a new branch of the castle I had not been in before. How big is this place? I was stunned to see such a place, but as I walked on, the air seemed to grow fresher with each step. Eventually, I was led to a door. Sero slowly opened it, and I could only stare at what I had been presented. Ooh, pretty. A large forest, obviously hidden and bound by magic, stretched as far as my eyes could see past the door. As I stepped out, I could feel that I was somehow in another void, some sort of protected place in the castle. I continued to walk in, taking in the sights around me. The trees were lush and the air was fresh, as the countryside in the human world. Oh, a little sliver of home. Despite the feeling of magic around me, I could tell that this place was an untainted sanctuary. Soon enough, however, I stopped at the side of Diana, kneeling by a large, beautiful pink and purple tree. She had her head bowed, as if she were praying, so I very slowly walked up beside her, wondering what she was doing. The song she was muttering was unfamiliar, but the sight in her hands made me silently gasp in surprise. Okay, what's she holding? A small silver crown, which I wish they would show. Barely large enough to fit a newborn's head, rested in her hands, as Diana stared down at it lovingly. The way she held it on her palms showed its significance, as if it could break at the smallest movement. After a moment, Diana lowered it to the base of the tree, alongside 2 beautiful golden crowns that looked to be freshly polished and welded. As Diana pulled her hands away, she looked to me with a slight frown. "Hi! I was looking for you. I very foolishly think I'm entitled to something."
This was my punishment.
What was? Tending a garden? This? Diana nodded and turned her head back to the crowns.
Before I went to the human world, I was a simple princess.
Uh-huh.
I studied every topic of knowledge known to the Abyssal Plains,
Cool.
and trained to one day become a strong and powerful queen.
Aw,
That was all thanks to my mother and father.
great. And? It's why you're so awesome right now. My eyes drifted to the 2 crowns, realizing the significance. Diana continued.
Months before I was supposed to be wed to James, my mother and father told me that I was going to have a baby sister.
Aw,
I couldn't have been any happier. Every descendant of Lilith is born a single child, but to have a sibling.
okay. The small crown caught my attention as Diana let out a shaky sigh, but kept speaking.
I vowed to protect her and my parents, knowing that the wedding would ensure our kingdom's safety. But when I arrived at the Demon Lord's castle, I was told that the wedding was cancelled, and the agreement that kept my kingdom safe was on the verge of dissolving, because my husband and his brothers had run off.
Yeah. And this is why she is so ruthless in the original game. And also why I think she's such a fascinating character, because she definitely has facets. She's not ruthless to be mean, she's ruthless because she is fighting for a cause and her family, as well as her people in a land.
My instinct was to run back home, protect my city and my family at all costs. But another urge struck me at the same time.
Okay. And what was that urge? What do you mean? Exactly, what do you mean, Dee? Diana looked up at the tree's leaves, causing me to do the same. On each branch were a plethora of purple fruits that resembled peaches. Aw. I was stunned to see so many hidden beneath the leaves of the tree. Well, where else would you expect to see them? But Diana's answer caused me to look back at her attentively.
In the kingdom of heaven, there is a city called Yggdrasil. It runs like clockwork, and the spirits that live there are the ones who influence everything that happens in the human world. The weather, the environment, everything.
Uh-huh. So maybe the boys coming there wasn't such a big WTF. I stared wide-eyed at Diana. There was a city that was devoted to that? How the hell did that even work? Diana continued, trying to ease my confusion.
There are beings in that city called muses. Powerful beings who have a gift given to them by the ruler of heaven called suggestion. It gives them the ability to strongly encourage people to do something in their lives, whether it be bad or good.
Okay, cool.
One muse, however, is powerful enough to live outside of the city, and decided to make a very, very strong suggestion to me for the sake of her story.
Okay. Go on. Does this have to do with Shadow D? I tried to take everything in. I expected an answer, but this seemed ridiculous. Not really, given everything we've been through. Muses? Suggestion? How was this all possible? Fucking magic, keep up. Demons were one thing, but having the ability to control people with suggestion— oh, come off of it. That is freaking Diana's powers in the first game. That was way too overpowered to even be real. Why? Why is it so overpowered? It was literally what Diana did in the first game. Dear Lord.
This muse needed a proper villain for her story. One who had everything to lose, but no way to try and protect what she had. A stubborn princess who was willing to kill for the sake of her kingdom.
Which is you, I guess. Someone willing enough to kill a human. Diana nodded, silently swallowing her grief.
While my heart told me to return to my kingdom, my mind became obsessed with finding the boys and bringing them home. I begged the Demon Lord to let me find them and bring them back, and he agreed to hold off any invasion until I returned.
But he's a liar, and here we are.
I dissected the castle, looking through every nook and cranny, trying to find any hints to where they had gone. When I found the remnants of the gate spell your grandfather used to bring them to the human world, my mind suddenly latched on to getting through without a second thought.
You know what? I still can't blame her for it. I can't honestly say if we were put into Diana's shoes as a main character that I wouldn't do the same thing. Diana looked away from me, lowering her head in shame.
Without thinking it through, I recast the gate spell and used the remainder of that man's life to enter the human world. I didn't realize what I had done until the gate closed and he took his last breath.
Go on. You were there when he died.
I was. The gate spell was connected to him. So when I opened it back up, it sent me straight to him and allowed me to use his life energy.
Okay. I watched as Diana lifted her hands and stared into them, slightly shaking.
When I realized what I had done, I became racked with grief. I ran as far as I could from his body, changing myself into a human, and simply ran until I couldn't any longer. I had taken away the life of a human, something demons are not allowed to do, unless it was to protect the secrets of magic.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you were kind of screwed there.
I feared the angels would hunt me down, but as I rested, I suddenly became filled with unjustified purpose and confidence. I repurposed my disguise to match how I really looked, and found myself on the hunt for the incubi.
Okay, this lines up with the first game. Yes, go on. All of this was because of a muse? Dee, hear me out on this. We finish fighting my father-in-law-to-be, then we go find this muse, and we kick their ass. Does that sound like girlish fun?
Muses are dangerous beings, dear. While they cannot completely control you, their suggestions are as powerful as your natural instincts.
Huh.
This muse didn't want her villain to wallow in grief, but to become the perfect enemy for her main character.
Wait, are we going to Doki Doki territory again? Gosh darn it, we talked about this. Me. Diana nodded once more.
A love story that would wreck the 5 worlds. A romance of a human and a demon prince. When the love of a human is said to be impossible to gain, could a simple human have the strength to obtain it with her heart? Also, you flubbed that line reading. When the love of a demon is said to be impossible to gain, not a human. Unless this is an intentional flub and you're trying to tell me something, game. It all made sense. Diana killed my grandfather, who granted me his mansion, where I met the incubi. All of the pieces of my past were aligned with Diana being both a victim of circumstance, the inciting incident of my life, and the villain I had to go up against. Yeah! It's almost like it's a well-crafted story or something. I stared at my knees, feeling my mind jumble at piecing everything together. No, I think we did a pretty good job. My life was run out by someone beyond my control. I started to question everything. Were any of the choices I made in my life my own? Maybe. Sensing my fear, Diana placed a hand on my shoulder. I felt her calm my anxiety. As I looked up at her, she gave me a sad smile. Before you think that your life is a lie, Know that a muse only has the ability to focus on one individual when making their suggestion. Every choice you made was of your own design, even the part when you told me off.
Yeah, I've always kind of been a little badass, haven't I? I looked deep into Diana's eyes, seeing her sincerity and wisdom of the words she spoke. I felt relieved that I was in control of my life. But to have a story laid out for me was something I wasn't prepared to completely take in. Understandable. Maybe it was better to be ignorant. Nah, I prefer knowing personally. I shook my head and attempted to change the subject. That doesn't explain what the copycat was. Diana chuckled and moved to sit on her hip, looking to me with a hand over her lap. Am I sitting in your lap now? I get you miss your baby sister, but I'm not comfortable with this.
Well, I am a very powerful succubus, as you well know.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't just let a muse completely use me. So
True.
after I stole your energy that night, before I returned home, I forced the suggestion out of my soul, hoping to be rid of it forever.
Okay, cool.
Unfortunately, when I returned and found my kingdom in flames, my grief resurrected it, and it became a permanent part of me, haunting me and reminding me of what I could have been. A ruthless, cruel temptress that could have killed another human to get her way.
But together we overcame that. You're fine, right?
It forced me to believe that everything was my fault, and in a way, it was. I wasn't strong enough to stop the suggestion from taking over. It became the source of my madness, controllable at first, but fueled by each fight I fought with the Demon Lord.
Which was many. Okay. Again, it's not your fault. It made sense. If Diana herself had madness, then fighting the Demon Lord made it worse. That's why it became powerful enough to become its own being. What if it consumed her? Didn't we kill it? I shivered at the idea of a cruel Diana returning, making Diana giggle a bit.
Don't worry, dear. That copycat is no longer here.
Yay!
I don't think I can ever revert back to who I was. But I promise that the woman who destroyed your grandfather's life is gone.
She better be. Well, what are you going to do now? After another soft chuckle, Diana looked at the magic sky beyond the tree line.
I think I'll save this world
Cool.
and help it grow for as long as I can.
You do that.
That's what my family would have wanted.
Aw, you're a good kid, Diana. What about what you want? Diana's happiness was important as well. Exactly. Now that she was free of her guilt and obligation, she could choose her life. Diana looked at her feet and shook her head.
What I want does not matter.
Yes,
Never
it does.
has. What is important is this world and its safety.
Yeah, but you deserve your own happiness, girl. For once, I was able to understand what the copycat meant by her having a golden heart. I felt a little envious and a little pity for her. Hopefully, she would be truly happy, just helping the demon world without expecting anything in return. She'll have the love of her people. That's not nothing. I left her by the tree to prepare for the morning. We needed to rest, and Diana wanted to be alone with her family one last time before the siege. Yeah. Poor Dee, she is such a wonderfully faceted character. And I am really happy that we're getting to see this much of her. But as the game is calling for rest, I think we should rest. So I'm going to cut the video here. Until next, Tack the Katilok Hiddo.